Alan, hello.
Hey, you okay?
Yeah, good. You joked there, Groundhog Day, but I guess it's not really a joke, is it?
It wasn't meant to be a joke. One of my favourite films. But yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, I've been in the circumstances before, so yeah, it all seems a little bit familiar.
What do you feel has gone wrong?
That is a big question. You know, it's just a small question, but it's you know, I probably haven't got the right answer for that. What's gone wrong? Well, obviously, you know, we haven't won enough games. We've conceded too many goals. Probably not scored enough goals. Probably lack of confidence in the team. And strangely enough, when you look at the league table, you know, we're only one win away from being right in the pack again. And that's how tight the league is, especially at the bottom.
It's your first task to try and stem the flow of goals conceded.
Yeah, I think so. And you know, not necessarily pointing a finger at you know, the boys at the back. I think, you know, it comes from the whole team. You know, we've got to be more resilient. We've got to be harder to beat. You know, it's been an Achilles heel for us for such a long time. You know, set pieces, and that's been obviously a recurring theme again now these last couple of games. So there's no easy answer to it because, you know, it's irrespective of what people say, it's something that we do work on. And when you think of the changes in the team, I mean, it's been forced upon really because players, you know, either not being able to understand the instructions or not being able to defend as they should have been doing. So yeah, it's a problem, but you know, it's been an ongoing one for a long time, and we'll continue to work at it, and hopefully one day it will the penny will drop.
Do you feel sympathy for Bob?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, you know, nobody likes to see any managers lose their job, and especially Bob. I mean, he came in. I mean, obviously he's probably under pressure from the off, you know, the fact he was the first American, you know, with American owners. But I can assure you, when we spoke to the players yesterday, in terms of, I don't think anybody could have given anything more to the club in terms of his commitment. You know, he was first into the club, usually 7 o'clock in the morning, and he would usually be the last to leave. You know, we're talking about 6 o'clock in the evening. So his work rate and his effort and the time he put into the job was second to none. He's probably been as good, if not the best I've ever seen in terms of the work that he put into the game, into the club.
What have the board or at least the chairman said to you about how long they see you being in charge this time?
Well, it's only really for, you just got to work on a game-to-game basis. I mean, somebody could come in, you know, as we speak. Somebody, you know, again, it is back to Groundhog Day. Somebody could come in, you know, as we speak. Somebody could come in tomorrow. Somebody could come in by the weekend. But I think whoever comes in, it'll probably be too short a time to prepare. So, you know, I presume that I'll be in charge on Saturday. And then we'll take it then, you know, almost on a day-by-day basis. We'll be back in Sunday in preparation for the game at Palace on Tuesday. And again, you know, if there is a manager, not a manager, then we will prepare accordingly, depending upon, you know, what the circumstances are. But no, we're prepared. You know, we sort of more or less sort of picked the team now for the weekend, and we will go ahead and just all concentration now on Saturday.
You know this group of players as well, if not better than anybody. You know the club as well, if not better than anybody. What kind of character do you think the club, the team needs right now in charge?
I think it's been pretty well publicised that you know, we've lost you know, when we lost Ash, I think we lost a big voice on the pitch and in the dressing room as well, and I think that you know, that can never be underestimated. So you know, the players, I think they've all got sort of strong personalities, but you know, we perhaps lack a leader. Where Ash sort of, he grew into that role, and you know, he became so good at it. You know, obviously with the Welsh team as well, he's a man of great experience, and we've certainly missed him. You know, there's absolutely no question about that whatsoever. So, but it's up to the players. You know, if they can't do it individually, then they have to do it as a collective, and you know, and we have to find strong personalities, obviously, with the position that we are in.
And a strong personality in a manager as well, that kind of manager.
Yeah, well, you tend to be the managers come in, and they are, you know, they've got a strong personality anyway. That sort of marks out the manager. So yeah, I mean, whoever comes in, I'm sure will put his stamp and his personality in the team, and hopefully drag some results and some performances out.
Not a type of experiments, though, is it? Given the position you're in and the time left in the season.
Well, I guess that probably was why the change was made. I mean, whether it's somebody, you know, experience in the Premier League or experience in general. I mean, obviously Ryan's name might come up in the course of the conversation today. I mean, Ryan has not had experience in management, but in terms of experience as somebody who's been in the Premier League, then it would be immense. But yeah, I mean, I suppose ideally it would be somebody with experience who can handle a group of players who are going through a little bit of a confidence crisis at the moment.
Ryan has been in charge of 4 Premier League games at one of the biggest Premier League sides. Is it someone you would like to see given a chance?
I'd like to see him given a chance. I mean, I'm not saying, at our club, but I think whoever comes in, I think it doesn't matter who comes in, the club, we've talked about this before, whoever comes in has to be the right man. I don't care. I suppose ideally it would be British, no in the Premier League, but they have to be satisfied that he fills all the criteria for getting us out of the trouble that we find ourselves in.
So someone who understands Swansea, understands the Premier League, understands.
Well, not so much understand Swansea. I mean, they would probably not know a great deal about us, but yeah, certainly some sort of knowledge of the Premier League, I think would be preferable. Do you like being thrust into the spotlight? I suppose I'm used to it now. I mean, to be honest, no, I would prefer not to be, because it would mean then that, if I'm sat here, it would mean that the club is probably going through a little bit of a crisis. Whereas if we can appoint somebody, I think, the appointment certainly has to be, it's a real crucial one, this now. Because we're coming into a period where we have to start winning games. It's as simple as that. So, the next appointment has to be, it has to be spot on.
Someone to steady the ship and get some results. You've done that in the past on a short-term basis. Why not throw your hat into the ring?
I haven't got a hat. No, I don't know. I mean, I've always said, some people, I think probably, years down the line, then most certainly I think what the club needs is maybe sort of, not a change of direction. I mean, the club has been the club, and the way we've run the club is the way that suits us. So somebody needs to come in with our philosophy, but, a little bit of experience, but perhaps look at it with fresh eyes. And I think that's exactly what it needs.
Final thought from me. Obviously January is coming, but as things stand at the moment, do you have the quality in the squad to survive in the Premier League?
I think we need a boost. I think the players probably need a boost as well. I mean, there's nothing better, I think, even to be in the dressing room if people are coming in, that you think they're going to improve them. And let's be fair, we know that we need. We know that we need an influx of players, not an influx, a great influx, but we need certain individuals come through the door who will improve us as a team, and maybe as well give us that leadership and a little bit of a boost, which we do need at the moment.
So coming from that, and really finally, the man coming in needs to have experience of how best to use the January transfer window, I guess.
Yeah, well, again, that would be down to the experience of maybe the Premier League or even some of the top leagues. Not ideally for me, it would be somebody in the Premier League, but yeah, certainly a manager with experience, that is used to this situation and can deal with it and bring in the right players for us.
Have you thought about how many times you've actually done this? Have you worked it out? I mean, I think it's 4 or 5 officially. It's probably a lot more than that, isn't it?
I think it's about 4 or 5, Rob, as I say. Yeah, no, you've done it over a period, different sort of periods and different lengths of time. But as I say, you actually, a bit strangely, you actually do enjoy it. But to be honest, you'd rather not be in this situation simply because it means that the club has gone through a change of management for whatever reason. For us, the last couple of years, it's been sackings rather than, we've been used to change of managership, but it's been because the club has been successful. The likes of Roberto moved on, obviously Brendan, Paulo Sousa, but the last couple of years, unfortunately, it's been through results which have gone against us. So ideally, don't want to be stood here, but obviously you will give it your best shot again.
Do you feel that this time there's almost more pressure than any other time that you've taken it? Is the plight worse than at any other time you've taken it?
I suppose last year was a difficult one, Rob. I'm not sure. We certainly got less points than we had last year, but again, I think it's a lot tighter this year as well. I think that compared to last year, I think Sunderland, as a prime example, would have been probably bottom of the table. I think, looking back, they probably have been for the last couple of years, but to their credit, they've always seemed to find a way. And we have to do exactly the same thing. So yeah, there is pressure, probably not as much. Well, no, last year probably wasn't quite as much. This is probably the worst situation we find ourselves in, just from the points total. But it's so close there, Rob, that I think it's probably, when you look at it, somebody always drops back down into the lower reaches of the division. But you're probably talking about 4 or 5 teams that are in the mix, 3 of which will go down, and we have to make sure that we top of that the pile of that sort of little 5-man league.
I mean, you've been at the club so long that staying in the Premier League is a hell of a battle, but nothing like what happened 10, 12 years ago, is it? So you've seen worse times at the club, but is this probably the biggest threat to the Premier League?
Yeah. I think nothing will compare. We've talked about that before. I think the Hull City game, going back those years ago, 12, 14 years ago, whatever it was, that was probably the biggest game in the club's history, and I don't think it will ever be, unless we find ourselves back in that situation, which I hope we never will do. But in terms of Premier League status, we talked to players, I talked to players yesterday. We fought so hard to get into the Premier League, and we don't want to give it up. And it might be the case that we do get relegated, but we're going to have to sort of give everything we've got, and if we do go down, then we'll go down fighting.
Do you believe that the players think they can stay?
Yeah, again, Rob, you speak to them as I'm speaking to you now, and you can see the players right in front of you. And we've got good players. We have got good players. We've got World Cup winners. We've got players with loads of international experience. We've got boys who have played in the league for a long time. We've got the likes of Leon Angel, who've been at the club for a long time, Nathan Dyer, Wayne Routledge. They are good players. They, for whatever reason, we've just not been able to sort of get performances, and from there we've not been able to pick up the points. Why, it's a little bit of a mystery, or else we would have solved it by now. But it's up to us now, from maybe myself, or certainly for the new manager coming in, then we have to try and find that solution. But I do think that the players are there, absolutely they are there, and I do think there's a team then as well. Obviously, we have to stop, simplistic, that we have to stop conceding goals and become much harder to beat. But, I think some of these things hopefully can be remedied, maybe with some new players coming in January, or we just have to work a little bit harder on the training pitch. Because
it seems to some that maybe the players are the ones who are escaping blame in all this. I'm not saying it's a blame game, but every time a manager seems to go, it's always there's a problem with training or whatever. I think that's always the way, Rob. Every club and every managerial dismissal, then I think the players. I think they do take it. They even with Bob, and Francesco, I think they were so likeable people. You've all met them yourselves. They're lovely fellas, and I think everybody wanted to do as well as they could for them, but for whatever reason, things sometimes don't happen in football. Bob at 11 games, you can argue that's nowhere near enough, but these decisions are taken out of, they're taken by the people upstairs, and but the players, and Bob came in and said this longs yesterday, and everybody was genuinely sorry to see him go. Is it imperative that the club gets someone in at the very least by maybe Tuesday, but maybe more realistically before the Hull game? Well, again, Rob, it's difficult to put a time, because it has to be the right choice. If it takes a little bit longer, then so be it. Again, these are things I think I said before, after Gary left and Francesco left, and it's however long it takes. Ideally, you want it to be done as quickly as possible, but it has to be the right person, and if the right person takes that a little bit longer, then so be it. And what can you bring on Saturday? What can the supporters expect? Because it was a poisonous atmosphere here on Boxing Day when things were going on. Yeah. What is the least the fans can expect on Saturday, do you think? I'll definitely turn up on time, and no, I don't know, Rob. I think, to be fair, because your connection to the club, it'll probably be a slightly different atmosphere there on Saturday. I know. I think that I think they will get behind the players. I think it's important that the players do something on the pitch as well, which sort of ignites the crowd as well. But I think it's the way it's always been with us, that the most important, the most important relationship, I think, is at any club, it's the players and the fans.
and they need to get behind us, and we need to show that we need to show a little bit more spirit, a little bit more fight. But hopefully, that will be in abundance on Saturday.
Because Bob was saying yesterday that he felt that asked him the question, well, what's your message to the fans? They get behind the team and forget the off-the-field stuff, because he felt that was impinging on what was happening in the game, and that their frustrations with what was happening off the field were being directed at the team on the field when things were going wrong.
Yeah, and I suppose the thing by association, Bob, the fact that the American owners and American manager, unfortunately, that was the way it was, especially if the results are going against you. But at least we still got American owners, but there's a little bit of somebody who's been at the helm or been at the club for such a long time that I think there will be a different atmosphere this Saturday, and I think it'll be a much more positive. And but we have to make sure there will be periods in the game, perhaps when we are under pressure, there's a couple of stray passes, then not to show your dissent, and and to really sort of to get behind the players. And I think it's a huge game for us on Saturday.
Bournemouth.
Yeah, I mean, they've obviously come up and they play the same type of football that maybe we used to play, and we would like to play again. And again, when I look at the players, I don't see any reason why we can't back to sort of to go play in that type of way again. But yeah, I mean, Bournemouth, they've done brilliantly. I mean, very similar story to ourselves. So we know it's going to be a tough game, but we played them twice last year. Actually, they played really well at the Liberty. But then we were unlucky. They beat us 3-2 down at their place. But we had far more of the ball, far more possession, and we looked like the team of old. So Bournemouth will give him a chance to play, and normally we're not bad when teams allow us to play as well. Okay, thumbs up.
Alan, 3 managers in half a season. Obviously, you care about these players, and I know you work with them so closely. How unsettling do you feel it's been for them, this situation? Obviously, there is a lack of confidence in terms of what they're doing on the pitch, but what sort of mental impact is that having them on and off the pitch, the fact that there has been a certain amount of turmoil?
Well, I hope they feel a little bit responsible for it, and will determine to sort of, especially come the game now on Saturday, that there will be not a change in attitude, but there will be an up-tempo beat to their game. But I mean, I think it's the same as everybody. Nobody likes change. But again, as we said to the players yesterday, that once you've been in the game for a while, then these things become almost part and parcel of the game now. I mean, there's, apart from maybe obviously the Wengers and the Fergusons, I mean, there's not too many managers who stay for that long a time now. And it is part of the game now. So it's not an ideal part, especially when you're working with somebody and you know how much that they've put into it, Francesco and certainly Bob. Then it's tough, but the players, they have to get on with it, and I think they realise how fortunate they are to be playing the game these days with the rewards on offer. But for us as a team, we have to do so much better.
The reverse side of that coin, we were speaking to Jack Cook yesterday, and he actually said, they were obviously very sorry about what had happened to Bob, but he welcomed the fact that you were taking control again, because he said when we work for Kurt, we feel a certain degree of stability and normality, and there's that sense that you bring that back to them, which they seem to be looking for at this particular point in time. You obviously mentioned the need for leaders. They're looking to you as a leader. How much pressure do you feel that puts on you, or is it something you're welcoming? Well,
I won't change anyway. I won't be in at 7 o'clock in the morning. Still be fast asleep then. No, we'll try to get everything back to normal as best as we possibly can, and try to keep it as routine. I mean, the players, you sense there's been a little bit of a sharper focus in training, not because of Bob was training when everything was excellent, the tempo, and but it's just the fact that okay, there's been a change, but we now we really realise the importance of obviously of Saturday, but also the games coming up as well. I think it's halfway on Saturday. So the second half of the season has to be a lot better. So I think the players have we almost spelled it out to them that again, with the quality that they got, they should have done much better. And the first half of the season has been desperately disappointing. So it's just a question of sort of focusing on what's left, And to look forward now, we're aware what the first half of the season, but we've got to look forward to the second half now and be so much better.
Nice feeling though to know that they want to play for you that much, that there's that sense of, almost breathing a sigh of relief, the man's in charge again.
We'll see Saturday now. We'll see what they're like. But thanks for that, yeah.
It's good, best of luck for it.
Okay, thanks.
Alan, how much frustration have you felt in the way the club's operated over the last 12 months, considering you were in this position last year and the warning signs were there then, weren't they?
Yeah, as I say, frustration, I don't want to be here, obviously, I mean, I'd much rather that the club is, we've had change of management before, but as I say, that's been because we've been successful and, managers have been plucked away from us. But yeah, it's been frustrating for everybody, I think, that, and, with all due respect, I mean, with the people upstairs as well, that I think they share the same pain. And, I just said, we have to get better, we have to get back our style, the way that we play the game. And I don't think it's as difficult as maybe people are suggesting. I think that the style, when you look at the players in training, it's there, maybe not in the same quantity. Yeah, and we're all frustrated, obviously, because it seems to have happened, even though but it's happened so quickly. Even though, there may have been cracks appearing now for the last 12 months or so. But I would never have envisaged this sort of 12 months, 18 months ago. This should never have happened.
Is there a sense of realisation within the club now that, okay, we may not have had our eye or our finger on the pulse for the last 18 months?
Well, not from the playing side, no. I mean, we go out, we still work as hard on the training pitch. I mean, it may not be apparent on, with the results that we've had. And whatever goes on upstairs is, that's nothing to do with us. All we can concentrate is the players, making sure that they fit and that they focus and prepare them for a game. So, we're aware of what's going on, but I mean, we can't control any of that.
And just finally, how much dialogue have you had with the new owners, in particular since on there?
With the new owners, nothing at all. Nothing at all. I spoke to Hugh, obviously. I spoke to him. That's why I was a little bit later today to try and find out what was happening in regard to the managerial situation. And it's basically ongoing. I mean, there's no sort of time scale on it. I think that I would imagine that they want to get it done as soon as possible. But no, we just carry on, and we'll prepare for Saturday, and then if it goes on, next game or two, then that's the way it will be.
Rob? Sorry, I forgot to ask you this. Charlotte Coleman has tweeted today. The mumbles.
I've seen it.
But my husband has said publicly after Wales we would hopefully move abroad. Good luck to Swansea.
Well, abroad is Wales. They live in England, innit? Across the Severn Bridge, down to Mumbles. I mean, let's be fair. She loves it down there, really. I've seen them both down there looking at houses, Steve.
She wears the trousers clearly, but is that him being ruled out, do you reckon?
I don't know. Could be a smokescreen as far as we know, Rob. I mean, Chris obviously a Swansea boy. I don't know, Rob. I mean, it's all speculation at the moment, isn't it? You're all sort of grasping at everything. I don't know. I mean, I genuinely don't know. I mean, Hugh was not giving anything away. As I say, we've not spoken to the new owners. So all we can do is prepare for Saturday, and if it goes a little bit further, then we'll just prepare as normal.
Okay, folks, nothing else from broadcast, no? Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Alan.
Okay.
Very much indeed.
30 minutes.